One of the biggest challenges for Honoree, the company that I work for, is we have a very kind of variable, dynamic business cycle, yet we have very high fixed costs. So cash flow is probably the biggest issue that I have to manage at our company. One of the really nice things, it is a small group, so I can be very hands-on. I can work very closely with our program managers to kind of time material purchases, time invoice points, make sure the projects are moving very smoothly, so I kind of can balance when cash is coming in.
For my experience, we've had a crisis like with the pandemic or other crises within your organization that makes you have to reset. And so I think that you can do that through the crisis and get people's buy-in quicker with regards to the culture and the cost controlling. Being on the backside of that, it's even more challenging when the company's thriving to try and continue to control that cost, because everybody kind of takes a deep breath and they're ready to get spending again. So it's really keeping a focus on what that return on investment is. I really think the only way to overcome it is that it's part of the culture and it's part of everybody's daily life and work there. They're thinking about it if from an efficiency perspective or spending $1 for the company, like what's the return on that investment?
At USL, we are the fastest growing soccer organization in the United States. We have 850 teams. So with that large footprint, we operate in over 40 states, and every state has different regulations. And it's my job to make sure we're compliant with all those regulations. It can be something as simple as registering to do business in those states, or it could be more complex, like filing a franchise disclosure document. Then you have your variety of taxes: sales taxes, payroll taxes, state income taxes. My job to be compliant with all those rules.
The more difficult challenges for a CFO are with resources. And resources include both human and fiscal areas. My responsibility is to ensure that I am preparing accurate budgets and financial statements, that I comply with Florida statutes and regulations, and that we make sure that we are accountable to the funds that we're spending for our taxpayers. The human resource side is a little more challenging. In that case, we have to determine that we are hiring staff that have the knowledge, the skill, and the experience necessary for the job. I'm also looking for staff that have good moral character and that will interact well with our funded agencies.
So in particular for us in the nonprofit sector, our main concern is how do we recover after COVID. We have an influx of people that moved down to the state and in particular to Pinellas County as well, that kind of, mix up the demographic of our target market a little bit. We have inflation hitting our economy, and how do we keep up, right? Because we're a nonprofit. We can raise our fees to a certain extent, but we want to make sure that they're also affordable for all members of our community.
The biggest thing that I try to do is bring everybody on my team into the solution. So I feel like when people feel like they are part of the decision-making process, they take more ownership in the process. I'm not really a micromanager, so it also kind of helps with my management style, that people get to help develop the process that we're going to implement, and then they can actually execute it.
I love challenges, so I not only challenge myself, but I also challenge the people that I work with. And each one is going to be motivated a little bit differently, but we all have to be motivated towards the same goals, the same mission, and if they understand how their part relates to it, it helps in the motivation process.
I stay motivated by seeing the growth of our company and the impact our projects have on the Tampa Bay community. I motivate my team by striving to let them know that they are the reason for our success and let them know that they're valued and appreciated and that their opinions matter.
It comes pretty natural for me. I've been fortunate that I love what I do and I found my career super early, but I also love what our agency does and who we help in the community, and the veterans, the families, the children that we help, and just knowing that we make that impact in the community is what keeps me motivated.
Something that I always tell my team is that I have your back. And so if they give 100% and I'm giving 100%, we're gonna meet those challenges and we're gonna get to the other side. And when it feels like a team, not just when you say it's a team, That's what motivates people, and that's what makes people want to achieve the best and move the college forward.
You wear a lot of hats as the CFO, and I've played lots of different roles over the 5 years I've been at AmeriLife. Therapist, coach, storyteller. Storyteller is a fun one because that's really what we have to do every month as you're digesting the financial information and the numbers, is try and make sense of it for other people. And you're usually working with varying degrees of complete information or incomplete information, trying to make sense of it. Coach is probably my favorite of all those. I inherited a really good team when I joined the company, and helping them achieve their career objectives and unlock their potential has really been a big part of my success and a big part of the reason that AmeriLife has grown so fast over the 5 years I've been there.
Well, I think something that would surprise people not in the industry, being private equity, and my friends and family, would be that I work for a very small private equity firm of just a few people. But in reality, I work with so many people all day long. Every one of our portfolio companies has an accounting department, tax review team, an audit team, an investment group, a board member group, and just the accounting department. So I work with hundreds of people almost on a daily or weekly basis. So I am more of a people person, and a lot of people think accountants, are just stuck in a little room dealing with numbers on their own, but I really work with so many great people and so many talented people, and I think that's surprising to a lot of people. The financial field is usually seen as staid, and so I believe that some of the things that I do that people would say was unusual is I do a lot of mentoring of the people in our company. So I'm not just sitting in my office crunching numbers. I read a lot of contracts for our company, so I range over into the legal side and making sure that that's not going to impact us financially. I also do a lot of management by walking around in BWA, and that's where I find things that are happening in our company that maybe operations isn't talking to marketing, or marketing is not talking to sales, and that long term will impact our financial health. And so I get involved with that as well, just kind of bringing people together.
The perception of the role of a CFO is that it only focuses on the financial statements, the numbers, the strategy of the business. But a lot of what I spend my time doing is on developing the people and culture of the organization. I spend time developing my team, planning for their future within the organization and developing their own careers, but not just my own team. I do that throughout the organization. As a leader of an organization, in a lot of ways, you're the face. And so getting out there and developing the entire team is very important.
One of the great things about working in healthcare and at Baycare that I've had over 35 years of experience in is I've always been able to learn new things. And most recently, I've been given the responsibility for Baycare Plus, which is Baycare's Medicare Advantage health plan that has over 13,000 members and about $150 million in revenue. As a CFO, I've always had responsibility for the finances of the health plan, but now I get to stretch my capabilities to look at the growth. So how do we grow the plan? And more important, how can we really make it a better member experience as well as a provider experience for those that we serve that's really in line with what you would expect if you come to one of Baycare's facilities or see one of our providers.
I think for anyone who's interested in getting the top financial job at a company is about understanding the business and the needs of the business. And there are different types of CFOs, whether it's a more strategic focus or an operational focus. Understanding that need at a business is critical. And I also think it's about understanding when to raise your hand when the opportunity comes up and to make sure that you're ready with the skills that are required for your business's CFO role.
I would encourage any aspiring CFO today to build on their communication and relationship skills. I spend a lot of time and have a great working relationship with our CEO and the other executives within our organization. I also have a close working relationship with our outside equity partners. You have a lot of people that depend on you, so it's critical that you can be able to communicate well, but at the same time, they have to be able to trust you. And that's where the relationship building comes into play. We are a high growth company, and therefore there's just so many challenges. And as a CFO, you have to be able to tackle those different challenges, and you have to be able to pivot at any given time.
I think first and foremost, you have to be adaptable. Right, so in the ever-changing world of finance, you have to adapt to new regulations, new technology, right? So if you were looking to get into the role of a CFO as just an accountant, you have to be more broad than just that. You have to look at technology. AI is something that's coming on board. You have to know data analytics. There's quite a broad spectrum of things that you want to learn as you sort of aspire into the CFO role. Another big piece of this is relationship building. Being a CFO isn't just profit margins and balance sheets. It's more the relationships that you cultivate with your internal company, your stakeholders, and your community. Relationships that you build are really the bridges that kind of gap and bridge everything together. I think ethics and responsibility is something that is paramount in this industry. You never want to shortchange anything or cut corners anywhere. You want to know that when you present the work to whomever it may be, whether it be a board of directors or to a nonprofit that you're working with, you want to make sure that your name, when they hear your name and your work, that they have utmost trust in what you provide them.
For anyone who wants to be a CFO, I think there's a number of paths to get there. It isn't about being an accountant, it isn't about being a strategist, it isn't about being a communicator. It's about all those things. So there's many ways to become a CFO. So my path is I started in strategy, I started in mergers and acquisitions, and at the end of the day, look at me, I'm running the numbers, I'm helping the organization. So there's not just one path to becoming a CFO, so keep your options open, you never know.